this episode of Redefining Wellness, Season 2 of the Impact of Mindset podcast. Today, we are joined by Shellie Johns from The Healthy Artist. Super excited to talk about art, well-being, heart as well,
Comes from the heart.
and network marketing as well. So welcome, Shellie. Nice to have you here.
You're most welcome, Julia. Thank you for having me. I've been nervous and excited, but I think it's an amazing thing to be able to connect like this. Like here I am in my own home, and how cool is technology?
So cool. So tell us about who are you, what you do with The Healthy Artist, what makes you tick.
Definitely. So, it's definitely been a journey, like going from someone when I first started my art and even network marketing back in my 20s, and I was really shy, very insecure. I probably really had no idea why I was doing what I was doing. I would be one of these people who would never say no to anything. Didn't know really how to stand up for myself and, just do what felt right in my heart. So, had to really work on overcoming shyness and building my confidence up, which I was able to do. And then obviously over the years you become a mum and things like that happen, and your priorities change. And I think now, fast forward, I'm 52 now, that being creative and being happy and doing what you love is really essential, and not just being busy for the sake of busy, but actually really thinking about, why do I do what I do? And I don't think I ever gave myself the breathing space to even do that. But now, if I get overwhelmed, which does happen still at this age, I take a step back and go and have a look and do a reset. And I think they're really good things. And that comes from life experience, basically.
Yeah, well, it's not something that's really seemed to be taught to people when you're at a young age. It's more like establish yourself, get your career going, and then we don't get that breathing space, do we?
No. And mums put a lot of pressure on themselves. It's like we have to do everything and put ourselves last, and it's not really a great quality when, they always do the plane analogy. If the plane's going down, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first. So I always do that self-care and lead by example, and show my girls, who are about to turn 14 and 16, that that's really important. If they can love and respect and care for themselves, they'll have much healthier relationships.
Yeah. So how did you, what was the light bulb moment or series of moments that kind of said to you, right, I really need to make this shift? Was there anything in particular?
I think I'd got burnt out. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, like mentally and emotionally burnt out, lots of things going on in your life, relationship breakdowns, you name it, all the kind of the usual things. And just really taking a good look at what am I doing and why am I doing it? Because I was just busy all the time. Like people go, oh, you must be so busy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I am. And I probably look busy now, but I actually have these amazing pockets of time. I can do a meditation, or I can do a drawing, or I can sit up like I did in the beanbag on the balcony there in the sunshine, have a chat with my partner. And, I didn't have time to do those things. There was no time.
Yeah. And so what is sort of like, how did you sort of redefine life? What does it sort of look like for you now?
So now I feel I know who I am. Like, I'm very comfortable. I love who I am. Like, it took me a while to be able to say that I actually love the person that I am today. And I've still got goals and things I want to work on. I'm certainly not perfect, but just loving who I am, knowing that it's progress, not perfection, that everything's a journey and I'm evolving as I'm going along. I think that's where Healthy Artist came from. It sort of came to me last year or maybe the year before. I'd done a series of courses. One of those was the NISI course with Kerr and Ray, which kind of set me on my journey. And I found it quite difficult because it was all online, and my brain kind of melted quite a few times while I was trying to grasp how to do this online like this. But I guess I was looking for my niche, or sort of who I was that people could recognize online. I thought, well, I love being healthy and I love art, so the Healthy Artist is kind of a nice way to identify myself online and on social media.
Yeah. And so throughout your week, what portion of it is art, or is it more art for pleasure or art for work, or how does that kind of work for you?
Yeah, so right now it'll be art for pleasure. I've always got projects. I always get offered things, like even just this month. So in May, I've been offered to paint 2 murals, which I turned down because the time involved in that. I just, so I've learned to say no. And a few people asked me if they could teach them how to paint. And I was just like, I don't think that's kind of where I want to go. So there's always opportunities being offered. But at the moment, I'm doing a series of architectural drawings of the local town, the old buildings. And it's got like a reflection of buildings. And then in the reflection, it looks like, it should be the same building, but it's not. It's other buildings in the reflection. So I'm going to do a series of those.
Oh, cool. And I like what you said there, where you got an opportunity, but then you went, actually, I don't think that's what I should be doing right now.
So hard to do.
Yeah, because you can just jump at anything, can't you?
Yeah, I would. And I would have in the past. I would have just filled up my schedule, and my schedule is very structured. Like if you look up, one of my assignments on this mentoring program was to say this is the schedule.
Yeah.
Right. So there's lots of pockets of time that are free in there, particularly for my self-care, like my morning routine. Family time's pink. So there's lots of pink and there's lots of purple, which is because I need that time to do a review, do some planning. I wouldn't even leave time for planning. So, but now we do a monthly planning session and a plan to review. And I find it really effective because I can see what's working, what's not working that I could maybe reduce or eliminate, what could I keep doing more of, and see where I'm at. And I never did that before.
Yeah, I know even myself last year, just with health things going on in my family, I didn't do the podcast as much. And I really love doing the podcast. I love speaking. And it's just a big part that gets missed. And it's easy when you have things come up or different opportunities and whatnot to then kind of fall off the bandwagon with that. And for me, I had decided that was okay for that to happen because health was more of a priority. But at some point, you got to come back to your intention again about what you want for you that lights you up. Otherwise, it kind of goes missing for a little bit, and you feel a little bit out of touch. Well, certainly that's how I felt anyway.
So I have a lot of reminders around me, so I have things written down. But this is our office. I'll just do a little. So there's like a whiteboard there which has got all like goals and tracking. So I do a lot of tracking, which thank you, Ross, for being such an amazing tracker, and putting all that together, because it probably helps me. That's definitely his strength, whereas I'm definitely social and people and helping and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So tell me about the network marketing that you do and how that combines in with, because I know you're doing walking sessions in and around your hometown at the moment as well. Yes. And I've seen some transformation photos of weight loss for people of all different ages too. So fill us in.
Sure. So, and it's funny because, when you say network marketing, I never even really, I've been doing it for 31 years and I never even really think of myself as that. It's just something I do and it's part of my life. And it's allowed me to be a real present mum. Like my girls, 14 and 16, have never had an after school care or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with after school care, but I just always wanted to be able to have that time after school and before school to be there for them. So I think for me, it's about that freedom. So here locally, I do two things. I work from home, which is where I am now, and I do a lot of Zoom calls and online things. We went through the floods in last February in 2022, and our centre went completely underwater. It was a metre above the roof line. So we had to adapt and pivot. So we started looking for something online and plugged into this mentoring program, which helped me develop the skills now where I can do completely online. If I had to again, I wouldn't be going, what are we going to do? The centre itself is in town, but I also do a few from home. It's really about building a community and having somewhere people can come to connect, because as you would know, over the last couple of years, a lot of people have felt quite isolated. It's been a very stressful time. Anxiety was on the rise, had so many people coming into the centre with stress and anxiety. And I really felt like we need somewhere people can plug into where they feel they belong. We can help them, with their health goals, and things like that. So yes, we have the Gympie Walk Fit, which I love, and of course I love taking photos. I get to combine my art and creativity with that as well, and I get to be active. So I'm probably walking 20 kilometers a week, minimum. So it keeps me fit. We do an over 70s club, which is a huge focus on healthy aging. Most of them are 80 and over and amazing, getting fantastic results. And that ties into the 10-day challenge, which can be done online, which today is day 10. So I get to announce all the results after I finish this call. So I'm a bit excited. So I think they've lost like 17 or 18 kilos combined for the whole 10 days, all the teams of people. So that's exciting. And like just things like healthy chocolate making, pamper sessions. We do a book club, anything that people could plug into that appeals to their personality type, because everyone's different, where they can feel like they belong, they can talk, they're stressed, they get help with nutrition. And I think it's really special what we're creating.
Yeah, definitely after COVID, people were looking for a lot more in person. And I don't think that, that stress has really alleviated much. Have you seen a difference in your community?
Yeah, I think I can see it lifting, but there was probably a period of 6 months. I think a lot of people were coming in and didn't really know, could I come in? What can I do? And there was lots of hesitation, and it made people feel very self-conscious about what they could and couldn't do. But I always did. Everyone welcome, come in. If you need help, and I think that's what started to create what's happening now is such a strong community, especially in the centre.
Yeah. And so what were some of people's, if you're able to share, like general things that, like, I mean, you mentioned stress and anxiety, but was there anything in particular that they had or have before they come to you to sort of have that touch point?
Most people are feeling tired. Usually they feel like they're doing everything right, but if they're not getting the results they want, that's a big one. Get a lot of women kind of my age group that are going through menopause. So how do you help them still to have good energy and feel like they're getting a result and feeling good in their own bodies? Because, the probably clothes aren't fitting like they thought, their tummies get bigger, all those fun things that happen after having kids and going through menopause. So just getting them to love their body and also recognize that it's not just the number on the scales, but because I do centimeter loss as well, tracking, body fat and body composition. There's other ways of seeing results, not just the number on the scales.
Oh, yeah, I think that's so significant. I mean, I'm studying personal training at the moment, but I've always been, since my very first personal trainer in 2008, been keen on the centimeters, not the weight, because that can be, especially with women's hormones, it could just like set your confidence back and make you feel like all those little changes that you're making aren't helping.
Yeah.
And then you get the centimeter difference and you're like, oh, yeah, there's evidence here. Or, energy, or just looking at what's written in your journal as well. It's really empowering when people, I guess, change that perspective of that this is the one way for success versus this many way for success.
Yeah. So my top tip for anyone out there that is doing it themselves, measure first. Don't jump on the scales first. Measure first. Celebrate the centimeter loss. And if the scales move, great. And if they don't, that's okay too. You still have a result to celebrate. And always take a before photo. Take a close-up one, because your skin and complexion and everything will change. There's so many things that can show a result.
Yeah, I like that. And that complexion is often forgotten as well, but yet that's where we get more radiance as soon as we start exercising more. Yeah, definitely. And so what are some of the, I guess, tips or takeaways you have for people who perhaps were like you in the past and needed to connect with what you wanted your life to look like more so? What are some of the tips you'd provide people to help make that change?
Yeah, so when it comes to health, like the health side, I do like where they fill out a profile form and just get a bit of background on do they have any health issues, what's their priorities and the goals, what are they actually eating and drinking right now, so then I can identify where some gaps are. They're definitely not drinking enough water, they're skipping meals. You can just see, and then it's easier then to say, well, this is the program that will be most suitable for you. And just because, it always comes to everyone is different. Every single person is unique. So it's almost like you need to tailor it to their budget, to their goal, to how their lifestyle. So if you can do that, people are a lot more educated. There's a lot more information out there. So I guess the point of difference too is it's not just a product, it's you get a coach. So you're getting someone that's going to walk you through everything and be there on the whole journey.
Yeah. And you are a big fan of your own coaches as well, aren't you?
So do you mean like personal development coaches or?
Yeah, and mentors and things.
Yeah, so I've had a very wide, like a amount of people coming through that have been like business coaches I love. And I definitely believe in investing in yourself. Like when the floods went through and in February, we had, been doing lots of courses. And so we had no hesitation to invest in a program or in ourselves for our own growth and, professional development, because I want to be more professional and I want to be seen as professional, that people go, oh, I need help with my health or my weight loss. I'm going to go to Shellie. I need to get some piece of artwork done. I'll go to Shellie. I need, I want to start my own business. Come to me. That's kind of how I think if you work on yourself professionally, and you don't have to be perfect, like you don't have to be polished. Sometimes being too polished isn't great either, but still be you, but be more professional so people feel safe and confident to come to you and ask.
Yeah. Because you have I just noticed through your Facebook, to be honest, quite a lot of like really early mornings, like plugging into mentor training and things like that. How do you kind of recalibrate yourself for your normal sort of working hours after those things happen?
Yeah, so I did one 90-day period where we got up for every single 4 a.m. call because it was a social media run. And it was hard. Lucky it was in summer and it was warm. But I did find it difficult, and I did feel I get tired, especially if I'm trying to do a live at the end of the night where I'm reading. You'll just get tongue twisted on words. So self-care is important, making sure I, fuel myself with good nutrition. So I'm super consistent with my nutrition products and my eating, and I'm a huge sweet tooth and I love food. Keeping my exercise up, so doing walk fit makes, I'm accountable then 4 times a week to do exercise. And fitting a meditation in, it definitely helps, because I did the Emily Fletcher ones, which I really loved. And I found that 15 minutes of meditation would really help a lot with my stamina and mental alertness and everything, stress, just feeling more calm. Like I think it's helped me to be more centered, whereas I'd not be scattered, but my, a little bit, off with the fairies, kind of airy energy, which is not really helpful, but just to bring myself in and be more present and give more, better problem solver, all those sort of things. So there's lots of benefits to that.
Yeah, oh geez, I like what you say about not being off with the fairies or whatnot, because sometimes
you feel scattered and it's not a nice feeling, right?
Yeah, like sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh wow, sunshine's outside, nice. Oh, I could do that. I'm like, oh, I haven't really done much in that time. And it's common, but I think that it's interesting. Meditation and mindfulness seems to be falling in two kind of different camps. You either have people in the wellbeing space that say it's worth its weight in gold, which is I'm the same with you in that regard, and then other people saying like it doesn't work, like my mind's too busy. I'm like, that's the whole point.
I think that's why I chose the Emily Fletcher one, because she said you don't have to have a quiet mind. I was like, it doesn't have to even be quiet around you. I'm like, that's my type of thing, because my mind doesn't stop. It's always going, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that's normal. But bringing yourself back to just being aware of where you are. And even she does the one where you listen, you try and hear everything you can hear. Like I can hear the fridge, I can hear myself talk, or you talk, or the birds, or the traffic. That brings you back to being more present, and that's actually very helpful when you're trying to focus and 100% on what you do. So I'm doing the second 90-day run now. So I've actually changed a little bit. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to do the lives. I actually will tomorrow, but I'm not going to do that 5 days a week because it didn't serve me. So I've decided I'm going to listen to the recording around 5:30. And I think that adjustment's actually been great. So it's okay to adjust things. Like, it doesn't have to be set in stone.
Yeah.
And if you make a change, it doesn't matter. You can always change it back if it didn't work for you. So I'm not afraid to try something to see if that actually works better for me. And the 15-minute time blocks on your weekly and daily itinerary, having those 15 minutes, set a timer and focus entirely on that one task is amazing for productivity. And you can obviously, if it takes longer, you can do 2 15-minute blocks, but it's been really amazing to help me stay on task and not do little bits of everything and never get anything completed. It actually helps me to entirely complete a process before I go on to the next one.
Yeah. I like what you were saying about sort of removing judgment from, whether it's a meditation or whether it's, increasing your focus with your 15 minutes time slots. What other things have you done to help you be more kind and compassionate to yourself so that it's easier to step into that place of confidence?
I think you just have to know that it's okay, not this perfection kind of thing that people expect. Like, even when I did the social media run for 90 days, they were doing TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'm just like, and I was doing it all. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do Facebook because I can't do it all, because I feel like all I'm doing is producing content, and that's not what I want to do. I want to have conversations, like real conversations with people. So I actually just went, it doesn't matter does it really matter about the other ones? I'm just going to focus on what I love doing and make a choice. So that one, take the pressure off yourself. And I don't know, there's so many things that you can do to, I guess, live a happier life and just not be so hard on yourself, but really think about why you're doing what you're doing. Is it what you want to do? If there's something, if you're in a job you don't like, it's okay. You can still do it and do it well and get the most out of it while you work on something that you really love and build it up part-time. Like that, you're allowed to do that. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if you fail, because as I've learned now from my own experiences, that you often learn more from your failures than you do your successes. And that's probably what makes you, I think of all the mistakes I've made, and I've made a lot, I've learned so much from them. Unless I'm repeating them over and over again, well, no, that's probably not okay. But I need my children to know that it's okay to make mistakes, that they'll learn from it, and then they'll learn to get better.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's such an underrated piece of simple yet profound personal development in that. Like, as a teacher, I've seen in the past kids, young girls in primary school, where, mum will come in and rip the page out of their book, be like, you made 2 mistakes, start again. And my heart just sinks, going, oh, how is that going to help? Like, the confidence and that everything's going to have to look a certain way, and then you don't get the progress, which helps make you judge yourself more. And so it's so important, being that that example that that's okay, which I think is really, really powerful.
Yeah, and that definitely relates to, because I know you're asking about network marketing getting a bad rap. So when you think about the person that gets started for the very first time and they're so excited, they're probably not really trained properly, and they go and send out, mass messages. I get them all the time. And you know what? Someone did it the other day, and for the first time I didn't go, oh, this is so annoying, block or delete or say something fairly abrupt. I went, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm in the same profession as them. How could I help them be better, is what I thought. I'm responsible, not her. So, because she doesn't know any better. So if I'm more of the education and the awareness, then I just said, hey, I have someone that already does that a client that I would probably order through them in that same company. But I just wanted to give you some advice that I thought might be really helpful, especially if this is something you're wanting to build up and long term. I said, number 1, use my name. And number 2, don't send me a link to buy something from you when you haven't spoken to me for months or years. Get to know, reconnect with me, start chatting and stuff, and then maybe introduce it, because it actually feels a lot better. And I said, I think you'll find you'll have better quality relationships, an amazing business that you can do forever. And I just thought I'd let you know. And she said, thank you and sorry. And then she said, oh, and how are you going? She asked the question. And I just thought that was really cool, because what happens if how's she going to know? If so, try and be kind when people do that to you. If anyone that's listening, just know they probably don't know any better. Maybe you could give them some feedback, be a little bit compassionate, and you might find that they'll become better because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I started a network marketing business in 2016 while I was living in London, and it was with travel with World Ventures. And my mentor actually said to me two really interesting things that I've often thought about. One was think about 100 people that you're close to and start talking to them and trying to get as many of them to watch the video so they know what you're on about. And the other thing I remember, and I didn't feel comfortable with that at the time because I was doing freelance writing and teaching, and was still learning coaching in the background, waiting for when I felt like I was in the right sort of space. And I wasn't used to selling because with freelance writing, it came so organically. People would see what you had written and they're like, oh, I resonate with that. And then they'd hire you. You know, it was not selling the same way. So it was good to be open to that. But then I remember getting really excited, the real buzz when you start getting people getting interested and then saying, I reckon that this famous person would want to come on board. And I remember my mentor going, that's never going to happen. And I was like, well, why wouldn't it? Like, they're just another person. So cut a long story short, I did end up leaving, but what I craved the most was that education you were talking about, because I knew that it would work because I was getting into something that I was passionate about and could talk about easily without it being disconnected from who I was. So I can definitely see the power in network marketing if that education, you know, when that education's right. So I think it's really cool that you gave her the opportunity to do it better because there's so many different ones out there as well.
Yeah, there's some amazing companies. And look, I'm sure there's some companies that aren't great, possibly, but, you know, the company I've been in, it's been around for 40 years and I've been in the company myself for 31, like over half my life. And I just love it, like just my life now and what I get to do and how much I've grown. That's a huge part of what it provided. So I just love it. But I think, you know, just be compassionate if anyone's brand new, knowing they might be a little bit excited and just maybe give them some feedback. But really it's about building real relationships and you need to be honest and authentic and upfront. And it was interesting. I was on a mentoring call this morning listening to it, and Eric said, yeah, it's a bit, you're like a consultant and your job is to ask questions to help someone, you know, help them with what they need help with. And they might not go all the way through, but at least if you ask the right questions, then you can say this could be for you or not for you. And I sort of liked that. Like it's our job to ask the questions to find out what someone wants, because that way you're helping them to get to know who they are. And creating that awareness. And most people aren't aware of what they want and why they want it. And if you help them do that, even if they don't go with you, they might go on to do something else because you asked those questions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's true for like whether someone's coming to a coach or just getting advice. You know, I have girlfriends who would ask advice and be pretty angry. Like, I don't want to hear that advice from you kind of thing, which is okay. Like everyone has those sort of reactions, I think, myself included, but then they get exactly that. They'll tell you like 2-3 weeks later, maybe a few months later, they got this advice and it literally sounds like word for word what you said, but you just weren't the right sort of vessel to deliver that message for one reason or another.
Yeah.
But if you can let it go, like what you said, and just know that you've planted a seed and, you know, see where it goes from there, at least you've started them on the journey, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we've started reading Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor on our book club. We do on Tuesday nights. And just chapter 1 is just, wow, the amount of information in that one chapter. I just wrote like 5 pages of notes, and it was all about, you know, most people aren't aware of themselves or they don't know themselves. So really some of those questions helps people identify what it is that they want and what it is they need. And then maybe they can go do something about it.
Yeah, and I find it interesting because in my work, when you say to someone, do you keep a journal? It's like, what do I write in those things? But then, you know, I know times where I feel like I need a change in what I'm writing, like not just about how I'm feeling or whatnot. And I'll just get some different prompts from different places. And it might just be the questions worded slightly differently. And I know the same thing happens when you coach people too. And you get a whole different response that kind of unlocks the next level of knowing.
Yep.
Which is really
like
cool.
You just keep going. It's like this whole thing where you just go from going along. Like even those courses that we invent from the very first one where I actually thought my brain had melted. It was with John Lee, and it was similar to the Kerr and Ray one, the Nissi one, but it was my very first exposure. It was all online. It was late at night, and I was just totally overwhelmed. To now, I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do a reel and a TikTok. I know how to do that, and I'm not losing my mind. And so it's interesting how you can expand, and what you can actually absorb in. So I like that we can continually evolve. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and you don't really know where it's going. Like same with the opportunities we were talking about before. Like sometimes you might think you know the direction of where that opportunity is going, and it goes somewhere else completely differently. Which it's nice to have those surprises by being like open to them.
Oh, definitely. I think you need to be open-minded. And I mean, sometimes I can probably get a little bit of tunnel vision, but in general, I try and go, what is this teaching me? It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Like those little reminders for yourself, why did that person come into my space? What is it that I need to learn, or what is it in myself I need to work on because that's bugging me so much? Little things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably one of the most difficult parts of personal development, because we could get frustrated with other people, and then you read something where it says, oh, what part of who you are is being triggered by that person? And you're like, first of all, your ego's like, no part of me. None of me at all. And then you're like, oh, hang on, when I sit really quietly here, there's a bit.
Yeah. We can always be, we can be the teacher, but we should always be the student. Like I know I've got so much to learn, and I can get, so much better at other things and improve. So I am aware of that.
Yeah. Do you think there's a point in time where you can take on too much, and then you're, just kind of getting into sort of, I mean, dare I say, the hustle mindset of just doing more and more and then not coming back to center again?
Definitely. I think you could easily just do that. But I'm very aware of it because I've done that. I've done that in the past. So I think now, in this decade of my life, it feels like it's perfect for me to, like, it's all about serving. How can I serve more people on a bigger scale? And in my community, if it goes from being on a one-on-one thing also then to groups and indirectly through social media, and that it could be thousands or millions. So I think it's like, how can I serve people better? I feel that's kind of where I am now, whereas in my 20s I wouldn't have been thinking about that at all.
Yeah, well, I guess also I think different phases of life require sort of different levels of attention on ourselves, I suppose. I think naturally, like the amount of conversation I've had with people, they felt like there was this line in the sand at 30. As soon as they jumped over, it was like the things that they cared about in their 20s, they no longer cared about anymore. And then more I'm still in my 30s, so I can't talk to, maybe you could help out with that, what I should expect.
I loved being in my 30s. I mean, that's when I had the girls. So I was 35 with Mackenzie and 37 with Caitlin. So I'm a bit of an older mum. So they're just teenagers now, like 14 and 16 at the end of this month. And I like who I am now. Like I know myself well. And I feel like, the parent that I can be and the mum I can be with my personal development. And even though I'm sure my 16-year-old does not appreciate it at times, or soon to be 16-year-old does not appreciate my wisdom, but I know that I'm showing them this is how you live an authentic life. I'm leading by example. I'm very consistent in everything I do. I'm honest. I communicate well, and if that can help them have a happier life and know how to have good relationships, I think that, I've done my job the best that I can.
Yeah. And What about like learning? What sort of things have you learned about yourself through relationships as well?
I think that I was always a very aloof person, being shy. I read that book, The Celestine Prophecy by is it James Redfield, and I talked about the 4 personalities: the aloof, the poor me, the intimidated, and integrated. So I was definitely a poor me. I was someone that would do the more ignoring or draw away, but it wasn't very helpful because ignoring stuff doesn't help. So I wouldn't communicate, or I'd just, it was just a very strange kind of thing. So I know now in my relationship with Ross that we're very honest with each other. We communicate well. We still times that we clash in the way that we do things, but it's about accepting someone of who they are, and that's not always easy to accept someone. This is who you are, and I accept you. But also being able to be honest and say, this is what I want or what I need or what I don't want. I'm much better at asking for what I want, whereas before I probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Do you find that that's easier when you accept yourself?
Yes, I think now because I know, like, I'm happy in myself. I don't actually need someone to make me happy. I'm happy right now as I am. But so someone being with me, it's just like enhanced. It's not like we're two halves to make a whole. We're two individual people coming together with our strengths. So he definitely has different strengths to me. But I think that we complement each other, and makes for a very good growth process. And he's very much into personal development too. So he's the one that's probably found most of the stuff that I, sink my teeth into because I'll run with it. So I think it's a really nice compliment.
Yeah. And I like that you're saying two people with strengths coming together, because I'm 37 and single. And the dating space in your 30s is people wanting to either be similar to each other or not, like wanting somebody to complete them. And in part, like I felt, I don't often talk about it, I felt like because I don't want someone to complete me, that when they see, like, I don't know, for example, when someone sees online, like, I want someone, but I don't need them, that then that's like a, well, then she doesn't need me, so she can be on her own kind of thing. And I find it's really challenging because technically, according to society, by the time you're 37, you should be married and have kids and do all these things and probably have a house and not traveled, or a bunch of, they're just a few things I've heard. And it's like, I don't, for me personally, I know how much you learn in relationships, but I don't want to not say what I want, because then I'm going to end up with, I'm going to end up having something like anyone pretty much come into the space instead of a person who is coming with those strengths and that is complementary.
I think that anything goes. There's no rules. So Ross and I think we've been together 5 years now. And one of my customers is just lovely, Vera. She's 80 and she's having her 4-year anniversary for her marriage.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think anything goes, and you can still need someone. Like I love Ross and I need him, but I don't need him to make me happy. So I
yeah.
think you can still want someone and need them and miss them and all those sort of things. But if you go, oh, won't be happy unless blah, like if you're happy now in yourself, then you'll probably attract that different vibration level anyway, because if we're all energy and we're all vibrating, you'll attract someone that's more in alignment with the way that you are.
Yeah. And it's like the rules, as you mentioned as well. It's funny how many different rules supposedly, well, not exist, but people state you should follow in order to live your happy life, which is completely opposite from what we talk about.
I wrote a list down of all the qualities that were important to me. So I actually had this list of things that were important, and I think that was one, knowing what you want and not being afraid to ask. And if you write it down, well, most people don't write what they want down, so I think that shifts you into a different level as well. And then just be aware of it. It's almost, I feel like you're putting energy out, and then for what you want to bring back in, and feel it. Yeah, and I was feeling this person coming to me. That's how I imagined it. I knew what they were out there, but I didn't know where they were or who they were, but I knew they were there.
So then how did you meet Ross?
At an event, like with the company that I'm in. I met him. So I was still married at the time, so was he. So, but our relationships weren't going very good, and when they ended, we got together.
Timing, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. We've got a little bit off track there, but I think that so often, business owners, they don't talk about how their personal life impacts. And then if you've got such a healthy relationship, it can only make your business better and only make your health and well-being so much better.
Yeah, and look, nothing's ever perfect. Like, you're always going to have things where stuff's happening with the kids, and like there's always the challenges. Like, there's always going to be things that happen. But my thing is, I always say to us, whatever it is that happens, we can handle it. Like, it might not be what you thought it was going to be, but I try and be very solution orientated so that I don't spend too much time complaining about something. I go, okay, well, yes, that sucked that happened. What am I going to do about it? Like, I'm taking responsibility, because I know even some of the questions you wrote about, health and wellness, and most people don't take responsibility. So it's about, I'm responsible for my health. I'm responsible for my life, or anything that happens in my life. I'm not waiting for someone to fix it. I don't want a quick fix. I want something that I know that, even if I make mistakes, that I took that responsibility and I did something about it.
Yeah, and it can be really scary too, because you can't hide. When you're truly responsible, you can't hide.
No. But it's a nice feeling knowing that you are responsible, because some people probably don't feel like they have control. They feel out of control, or they feel like someone else is in control of their life, and that's not a nice feeling either. So yes, it can be scary, but it's also quite an amazing thing if you can allow yourself that.
Yeah. But it's about, I guess, sort of circling back to what we were talking about before, is, like you said, having that space and time to make sure that you can actually even reflect in the first place. Am I being as responsible and accountable that I could be right now for the results I have in my life, and how happy and healthy I do feel?
And give yourself that time. That's the one thing that we can't get more of. We can't bring it back. So we've only got so much time. So what are you doing with that time? And we've read a couple of books recently. One's The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I think I might have told you about it. And The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. There's each has a chapter in it about time. So Ed Mylett's is about time management and how he fits 3 days into one. And The Big Leap is about Einstein time and how you can kind of expand time when you're really enjoying doing something. Like, say, this podcast, you can kind of look and go, whoa, look at the time that's gone, because we're in it and enjoying it. And it could be anything that you love doing. You can expand the time, instead of going, oh my goodness, I'm running late, I don't have enough time, I'm running out of time, that sort of thing. But we can learn to expand time by putting more of what we love into it. It was a really interesting chapter.
Yeah, it sounds super, super interesting. But I can think of times where I feel like I'm in a rush, and then I pause on it later and I go, there's actually not a rush happening here. But I got into that, and in my personal development journey, I've learned a little bit about my learnt stress responses. So I understand why I do that. But yeah, I guess it's trying to pull things apart to then come back together again, to then really get that happy life that you love going each and every day.
Yeah, give yourself the time. Like, start today going, I'm going to make time to do the thing that I need to do, whether it's just taking a step back and looking at and reassessing what you're doing, and maybe making a few changes, because a lot of people spend time scrolling and social media and Netflix or whatever it might be. Reduce some of that time and put it into something that you really want, like learning to play the guitar, or anything, learning a language, or learning how to do a reel, or whatever it is. Even just more time with your partner or for yourself, just to chill out and unwind. And most people don't give themselves that time. But thing I learned, the more structured your life is, the more freedom you'll get. Structure creates freedom, and some people think that structure is opposite, but it's not. So get some structure in your life, and start mapping it out a little bit, and you'll be surprised how many pockets of time you've got to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I did an audit a little while ago about what you're doing like every minute of the day, basically. And that is eye-opening. Like I thought I was being productive, but then there are moments in time where it's like, wow, I spent 2 hours at the shop, didn't buy anything, just wandering around aimlessly. You gotta, but it's that moment where you go, yeah. And look, wandering around aimlessly is important sometimes because it's the downtime, it's the not having your mind loaded up with all this thinking and whatnot. But I guess it's when you see how much time you spend doing different things, then you realize actually there's a lot more movement that could happen here that'd make me feel better sooner. So yeah, no, I love that. What other tips? Let's say 2 more tips on if people are feeling stressed and anxious right now in particular that can make them feel a lot better.
I think one is less tech time. Get off the tech. The techs can be quite like I've learned just to switch my phone off, put it away, and just disconnect from it in pockets of time. It definitely helps, and not having it, too much screen time before bed, so you can get a really good quality night's sleep and not get into that REM state. Making sure you're not having too much sugar and coffee and things like that at the wrong time, so that you're just all hyped up, and have some more herbal teas and things that are soothing and just help to calm, things like calcium, magnesium, chamomile, things like that can help really just soothe your nervous system. Breath work's really good. I really love the Wim Hof thing, and I've been looking at the cold shower thing. I can't really do it yet, but I will add it in one day when I feel brave. But even just breath work, like the 2x breath, breathing in for 2, out for 4. Just learning. I think I read somewhere that if someone's having a panic attack or feeling really anxious, if they dunk their head in some water or splash water on their face, where they that response actually immediately will get de-excite the vagus nerve and everything, and it actually creates being a little bit more calm and centered for some reason. So I haven't tried it. I haven't dunked my head in water, but sometimes I'll splash it on my face. And not that I don't really get anxiety like that anymore. I used to have some, but I think I've just, because I'm very specific with the nutrition I use, and I'm not really a coffee drinker, but I just sort of know myself pretty well. I just think it's, practicing those things, keep hydrated, and do some exercise, sleep well, don't have too much phone time, just be disciplined with that, and put it away and be more present. I think if you can be more present like this, fully present in what you're doing, you will start to kind of ground yourself a little bit more, wiggle your toes, go out in the dirt or to the beach, and you take your shoes off and just earth yourself a bit.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny how much those little things make such a difference in such a good way. Like you can go for a long time without recognizing you've not actually put your feet on the grass even, or been outside a building. All those little environmental changes, habits are so powerful. Yeah. So
our house is where I'm sitting is
thank
above,
you so much.
It's above the ground, so I'm not on the ground at the moment, so I spend a lot of my time here. And so sometimes I will just go out to the laundry where the grass is and just stand there where the clothesline is, and just not, I think it's really, really important. It's something that we forget to do.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I've really enjoyed this chat. It's been really, really enjoyable. I'm just curious before you go, what are like some of the products or the services that you think people should know about that you offer?
Sure. So obviously I have a nutrition range, and even though my main thing is healthy aging, being in my 50s now, that's so important to me. Obviously weight loss is quite a common one that people come to me with, just needing help reshaping, and energy. A lot of people are quite tired and stressed, so helping with that side as well, so people can connect with me, and I can explain some of the solutions that we have. You can get a wellness evaluation with me. That would be fine as well. So I think that's a great, usually it's just a chat like this on a Zoom or over the phone. If they live in the local area, they obviously can come and see me face to face at the centre. But a lot of people don't live near me. So, we do it the old fashioned way with phone calls and emails. And if someone's maybe looking at wanting to start a business but not sure, but would like to have a chat about it, then I can, talk to them about what we offer, but also just give a bit of an idea of the good things and the bad things about, running your own business and maybe doing network marketing, just being aware of all the things before you made that decision. And then the last thing would be artwork, even though I love doing my word art drawings, which is generally, I'm sure you've probably seen them on my Facebook page, the black and white drawings about, so someone would give me 25 to 30 words about their life, and then I'd create a black and white drawing that you have to kind of go looking for everything, but it's kind of cool. It's totally unique and it's about their life, and they usually just keep finding things all the time. So it's kind of fun. And usually I'll give you a list of all the words that are in there so that you have to go looking for them as well.
A bit of a Where's Wally, but in a healthy way.
It's cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Like I said, it's been such a pleasure having a chat. And I'm sure we'll connect again sometime soon. I'll put your links in the show notes, and also when we share on Facebook, so people can reach out to you for any questions that they have as well. And thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Probably could have talked to you for a lot longer.
I know, it was so much fun. I was really nervous beforehand. I could feel my little nervous energy going, but now I'm just totally calm and centered and grounded. So thank you so much. I loved it.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. And this brings us to the end of this particular episode. Make sure if you have any comments on the episode at all whatsoever that you pop them in a review for Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Redefining Wellness.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.
Bye. All right, there we go.